Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how to paint this adorable winter forest path step by step in acrylic on canvas. And I absolutely mean that. I'm going to break down every technique, every step, every color mix, everything you need to know. To help me do that is my husband, John.
Hello.
He's going to be the voice that you hear during the video. He looks for questions in the live chat. He helps make sure that the cameras are pointing at what I'm doing.
And
it reminds me to turn off my volume on my phone.
It's the echo of you.
Because it's live. So we are here live today. Sorry about the little bit of a delay. I prepped the wrong canvas. Painted a whole scene to paint out. And then I was like, wait, it's a 9x12 today. So... See, stuff gets crazy for us all. Now, this is going to be fairly beginner friendly because I'm going to really try to break each step down into smaller steps. We are going to timestamp those and make sure that those match the video. That way you can find your place again. This video will be replayable after the show. The traceable is on the website, and 7 to 14 days after a video, we try to get a handwritten out matching account of the video that we call a mini book. Doesn't that sound fantastic?
We call it a mini book.
We call it a mini book. Actually, because it's like 30 pages.
It's a midi book. It's like mid thickness. It's pretty good.
You can download it yourself for free. We hope to eventually get these into print, but right now we're just giving them to you guys for free. We've done hundreds of them, and they really help if you're learning how to paint. I've got my nice warm toasty coffee, and I'm ready to kick off the Winter Wonder series where we get all into the wintry paintings. You can hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the upcoming free classes. Shall we go over the materials, John?
Mm-hmm. Let's do that.
Sippy. Coffee. Oh, look, I'm so small now.
Teeny tiny you.
Teeny tiny me. So I'm using a 9x12 surface today. I have a little wish or intention on here that says good news. So if you are a person who's waiting to hear some good news in your life, I hope that you get that sooner than later. Just so you know where the colors are in the pad. They're listed in the description below, but just so you know where they are. This is the ultramarine blue, Mars black. This side is the phthalo blue that's close to the phthalo green. Burnt sienna, yellow ochre, cad yellow medium, cad red medium, quinacridone magenta, and dioxazine purple with a little plurp of titanium white in the middle. So a bigger palette for us today, but that's because this painting is kind of colorful and fun. And I think, you know, sometimes we think of winter as very monochromatic, but winter can be quite colorful with the way that snow and all that white can reflect sunsets and lots of interesting things around it. So I'm glad to be able to sort of explore that idea, a little bit abstracted, a little bit expressive, but still a winter path that you would want to walk on if you saw it. When you want to walk on this? I think you would. Let's throw up the first step. Step 1 is going to be fun, I promise. Now, step 1 is the easy step. We're going to just paint the whole canvas a little ultramarine blue. Whole thing. I'm going to use a big chunky brush. You don't have to have this big chunky brush. If you're wondering what it is, it's a Simply Simmons XL number 30. And I'm going to just paint this whole surface this blue.
Well, while you're painting it blue, I'll just say hello to Amy, who just stopped in to say hello.
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 Who is first time here? If you're a first timer here in the live chat, say hi to everybody. I promise we are friendly. Notice this is just very streaky. It's not anything particularly neat or tidy. This is called a ground, and it's something that you can do in acrylic painting to help your painting have depth and feel more professional and finished. You don't always have to use a ground. There are a lot of ways to do a painting. I've got a lesson coming up that I'm working on that uses a grisaille method. That'll be a lot of fun for you landscape lovers for a little more realistic landscape.
And by ground, you mean this
yes,
surface
this blue,
treatment that you're giving
blue.
it? The under treatment that you're preparing on your painting?
It's an well, it's not technically an underpainting because I'm not kind of zoning out yet. Just one color. Underpainting often has more of the depth and tone and layout of the painting in it.
Ah, so this is just surface preparation.
Yes, this is just prepping so that everything I do on top of it looks okay. I'm kind of not really worried that it's all one direction. I'm just making sure that the paint is into the canvas.
Interesting.
That's all I'm doing. Just making sure the paint's in the canvas.
It's in there. I can see it.
In there. Now,
all the way in.
To go on to the next step, though, we've got to dry it. I went away on the screen again and lost my formatting.
Man, it keeps...
I don't know what is doing that to me for. Doesn't it love me anymore?
What it is for some reason it likes to default that back over there on that. I can put it back now.
Just
tell me if it does that. So what it is that we seem to have an interesting switcher thing that happens. I don't know what that's about. Oh, maybe I do now. I'll think about that. I may be pushing a button that's making that happen. I'll have to work on that. Well, probably not. I think it's there's a thing. I'm talking to you guys about an abstract concept that doesn't matter. How are you doing? There's so many of you here today. Thank you for joining us. I would like to say that normally I don't ramble on endlessly about things as we're here on a break, but I do. And occasionally I'll give you some information. Like, don't use heat. I do that. That's a very common thing. Kind of less so now. There's stuff in the description down below. But look, she's back, so I'm done rambling.
So I want to say, I believe it's Rachel. It could be Rochelle, but I believe it's Rachel. It's joining us for the first time and mentioned we all seem to know each other. We do paint together 3 times a week, like at 1 o'clock. And then during big giant events where I just paint everyday live for a particular theme. So everybody has been here for a minute. I've been online 10 years. And some people have been online with me that entire time, which is just kind of awesome that we're all still painting together. So it is a big art family. And if you're very new to us, our moderators are here to help you find links. They're not here to be art cops. They're not the art police. They just manage like trolls, like weird bot trolls and stuff like that. And genuine trolls on the rare chance that comes up. It hardly ever happens. And make sure you guys have the links and resources that you're looking for. And we really try to make this a welcoming place for new artists. So if you're really new, don't be shy. We are here to help. All right, I'm catching back up to chat. Oh, Nuella Crisis. Good morning, everyone. And I see Grace Porter is in the house. All right. Now, if you're using the traceable.
Step 2, and thank Trish Woods on our Step 2.
Thank you, Trish Woods.
There we go. Step 2.
As always, thank you, Trish. This is the time when you would use the traceable. You can find that on the website, download it, transfer it on the canvas. I have a video on how to do that, and every mini book at the end has a written out description, whichever way you learn is better. I'm going to kind of lay some things in here, but you would use your traceable just sort of to know where stuff is. Okay?
Okay, lay it in there.
We're going to lay it in. We're going to lay it in and lay it in good. If I can get there we go. I want to this. Always so hard to get things where they are supposed to be. So just, if you think about this canvas is a 9 by 12, I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to measure it in half, right? So half of 9 is generally 4.5 inches. I don't know what the centimeters are. I go across. It's like a little over, maybe it's like 11.5 centimeters here down. And that kind of lets me know where the halfway point of my surface is. I'm using a Dritz chalk tool. It's just a tailor's tool with a little chalk cartridge in it. The chalk is essentially what you might use on a chalkboard. It's just so that it doesn't have any wax or clay in it. It's just very light and will vanish into the ether. Now, a little bit down from this and over on the left-hand side, I'm going to say my path that I'm going to be looking at sort of begins, and my tree line is going to come here and join that. I got a little tree line here. Now, my other part of that is going to come down very long and more sloped off the corner. Okay? So what I'm thinking about is where my trees are coming along this surface, right? And we're going to do some interestingly different things here. And the reason we're going to do it different is sometimes the perspective of the trees is the hardest part for new artists. So we're going to put them in a little sooner. That way you know where they are. Okay? And this is the upper sort of edge of my snow. This doesn't have anything to do with like where my steps are, which would be over here. You know, I've got some little steps. Just little regular intervals. We can actually do these in really easily with a brush, so I don't ever really worry about that, but the trees can be a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to say, well, I've got a nice little tree, really comes to the edge here, and wanders up past the halfway point a couple of inches. And it's got another little friend. Come down a little bit further. Pretty close though. And this one is going to go all the way up off the canvas. And I might even kind of wind this one a little more of an angle. Sometimes you want to do that. You're like, oh no, I want you to a little more of an angle. So you see how we're just giving ourselves some chalk lines? And then I'm going to put these in paint on the next step so you can really, really see them. There's a nice good space here and a nice big trunk there. And then another little trunk here. That's not too bad. Then we have a couple little short ones here. Some of them are close together. And a little bit bigger. And then right around here, we have a little fellow that sort of comes up and goes over. Maybe a little slightly hidden one. And then down a little bit, right about here. And it's got a little friend that's almost joined that comes out this way a bit. Kind of like sometimes, have you ever seen the trees where like from the ground it's almost like two trunks are coming out from the same joint? We're kind of doing a couple of those. You see those in parks and things often. Come down from the top and bring down another little one coming down. See how they're spacing out? And they're getting bigger as they get closer to us. But even though they're getting bigger, you still want to make sure you have a little room for sapling. And then right down here, I'm going to have another little trunk. Now the chalk lets me change my mind. And that's why you as a beginner might enjoy doing chalk. Chalk works really well on dry paint and terrible on wet paint, which is why we dried it. All right. So you can use the traceable right here if this is an overwhelming thing. But if you're trying to see things and figure out how they pace out, this is a great way to do it. Shall we throw up a step, John, and sip our coffee?
For sure.
For sure.
I guess you don't need to dry anything, so I can just go right to
it's just the chalk. It's all dry now.
The next step is 3.
Okay. Now, I'm going to do a weird thing. I'm going to put my trees in with a fairly dark color. I'm going to go ahead and just take my brown and black together. I will be lightening some of them and darkening some of them as I paint. But off the bat, I want to kind of start here. So I'm using a number 4 Isabey Isacryl Filbert. You could use a round or a bright, just something that gives you a nice line. I'm going to just paint up a little trunk. Maybe a little branch coming off. There we go. They're close together. Sometimes it can be helpful to come from the top down too. If you have a particular angle that you're trying to get to. It's a fairly slender line coming down. And I think I want to make a nice little bump there, but we'll get into it when we're painting more of the details. We're just working these in right now. This is more of a sapling. See how that's a little bit more of a sapling there? But the next one coming out is going to be a bit bigger. It's a bigger, older tree coming closer to us. And I can plant this below my snow line. That way I can easily put some snow up over it, right? Oh, I think I put him in a little bit straighter, but that's okay. Sometimes I like to straighten my trees out, especially if they're feeling a little bit wonkety. All right. Now over here, I will be lightening these, and it's okay if I want to be more brown here, because I'm going to be lightening them to the background distant color, and that's going to give the perspective that they're further away from me. But I want to know where they are so I'm not struggling to find them again later. So I'm just coming here and giving myself these little lines. These are the far away little trees. I've got these two little distant ones here. And then this one could be a little bit bigger. Come up. Maybe a little bit bigger. And then let's grow up a nice sort of long tree. Taller one coming up. Less in the foliage, a little bit longer and going deeper into the woods.
Wow. I just looked over there and it said Crystal Blake, member for 15 months.
Wow. I
Wow,
really
that's a
appreciate the support, you guys. I do.
It's a little crystal dance.
Crystal dance. Happy anniversary. Trisha Woods, thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, and thank you all the super chats up here. You know, super appreciate it. You know, as they come by, we don't always catch them because we're teaching, talking, not paying attention to chat all the time. Sorry, Jane. Thank you.
See how we're kind of joining these little trees in together, saying, "Oh, you guys are best buds." And they're like, "Yeah, I guess we could be best buds." And we're going to have nice little snowbanks over here, so it's going to bury them fairly well.
Friendly trees.
Huh?
Friendly trees.
They're friendly trees. I've got friendly friends. I've got lots of friendly friends. A couple people knew where that came from. I think she's a genius. Stone cold genius. Did one of the best series on mental health I've seen. To me, really resonated. Oh, thank you, Jane. I just saw that one go by.
Oh, and the bugs, 22 months. And the bugs.
Oh, we got Irene is saying hello from New Zealand. From New Zealand. That's fantastic. I follow some creators in New Zealand.
Wow, that's cool. It shows how long you've been a member of Emoji Club.
Yes.
That's super cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, I've been a member of them. They just get special emojis. So this is a bit of more of a sapling there. So I want to, have it be a little bit lighter. We'll get details going in a second, but we're just getting the work in, right? We're just getting that big first bit in. This is a nice time to practice control of your brush. One of the ways that you get a thinner line is if you don't press as hard on the brush. If you're getting a line much thicker than you're expecting, you may be pressing a little too hard. And that's just something that everybody goes through learning how to control brush pressure. I think this is really going to help you guys get in the trees before you get overwhelmed, right, by all of the busy background. I really have thought about how am I going to make this much easier? And I was like, if we just get some of these structures in early, then when we come back, we can just have such a nice time painting between and we won't lose ourselves in all the busyness.
You going to dry it?
No, we don't need to dry it, but I do want to break this down into a step because it takes a minute to get the trees in, and I want you to know that that's one segment, and then we're going to step into another one. I've lost my layout again.
Oh, what it is I think I just pushed. Let me see if that happens. So if I push that button, I think is what happens. So
It doesn't do it to them. It just does them to me.
Yeah. So I think what it is, I think I kind of know what to do here.
I would normally just watch the video to see when the step is, but you guys are on a delay, so I would just be sitting here staring at the screen waiting for a step.
We have stepped.
You have stepped? All right. Stepped. So the other thing I'm going to do while I'm here, and I'll go ahead and take a little bit of I think I'll take my Ox Purple and my Ultramarine Blue, and I'm going to put in just a little bit of little dark line. Let's come down here a little below this tree. And I'm going to come out just a couple inches with sort of a bumpy little line. See how I'm making it bumpy?
I do. It's bumpy.
I'm going to come back and then maybe make a little zig line there. I'm going to give some of my rocks and snow an early bit of layout, so I'm not having to find them later either, because that can be super overwhelming, can't it? Put a little bit of shadow in for some snow there. Now coming straight out from this second bigger tree, and then up, I'm going to add another little rock. And it kind of comes in. It's in from this tree a little bit. And another little shadow there. How easier will it be to find later?
Nice.
So I won't be lost in it. And I'll come here and add a little bit of a distant shadow. And then this little friend can come in. And then let's add a little step. Adding another little step there. We got 1, 2, 3. Come down and work in another little step. A little purple and blue. And I can add some dark purple here, which will help me build my stones. Anywhere we've got stones, that's super helpful, because I will have found the hardest shadows to locate. And then I'm going to come here and say, oh, there's a little bit of a shadow there. And coming out from these trees, I'm going to add some hints of shadow. Coming down at an angle in front of the trees off the surface. Look at that. Now we have the architecture of the landscape in. So everything else gets to be fun play the rest of the way. Doesn't that sound nice?
That does sound nice.
That sounds nice. I'm going to sip my coffee because it sounds so nice. Oh, Sugar Frog is in the house. Sugar Frog. I love you, Sugar Frog. Sugar Frog's my kiddo. And the newest member of the team.
Working her way around.
Team. Okay. Satricia, and I hope I got that right. It could be Satrika or Satricia. Oh, wow. I didn't notice how the height gives perspective. Fence, trees, any of that sort of linear perspective, the further it's going to get away from you, the kind of more fine in dimension and the smaller it will be. So power lines, fence lines, all of that, and they'll be closer together too. So if it's a faraway fence, the little posts are closer together, a little finer, and they'll be a little less saturated than the fence posts that get closer to you that will be bigger, more saturated, and more defined, more spaced out. It's a lot of fun. And once you learn the rule of it, then it makes all of this pretty easy. Shall we? Oh, goodness. Can you mute me for a second? I'm going to have a hiccup.
You're muted. You can have a hiccup, and that happens.
I should not have powered that. So.
Better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now we're on
step.
The fifth of them.
The fifth step. Far, far away. And I think for my next step, what I'm going to do.
You know what's amazing? Is, when you started this, you were on the first step, and you're already on the fifth.
I'm going to grab this little hog brush. Now, you could use a round or a bright like this. Anything sort of in this range is fine. This is a Simply Simmons Bright. This is a number 4 D brush by Artany. If you're in Europe or probably Canada, I think you can get these already. You'll be able to get them soon in the US here. These are really new to our market. But you can do the Simply Simmons 6, and I will probably be switching between these, but I want to do kind of a rough, scratchy background. Shall we enjoy?
Yeah, I'm enjoying.
Are you enjoying? I am also enjoying. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of my yellow ochre, and I'm going to work it into my brush. You see I kind of work the paint in.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to get a little white. I'm going to come here between these trees, and I'm going to put in this sort of paint around that little tree, little white background. Maybe a little more yellow ochre at the base on this side. So we're just giving some different atmospheric perspective. And I'm just using a rough brush because it gives me that nice painterly, I want to see my brush strokes. Right. I want to see them. Now this can be harder to do in the craft bottle paints. You have to get a lighter pressure and really work on a dry brush to get the same effect, but you can get there. It's just a little bit more of a journey. Now I'm going to come into my black brown and I'm going to add some white into it, and I'm going to try to get some gray going. Now that's lovely. Let's cool it even maybe with a little bit of ultramarine blue. Oh, how wintry are you? What a lovely gray. We can darken it right here. That's pretty fun. I'm going to go ahead and get into my brown and add a little of my red to it. And let's arc that over. Now, if you paint over your trees, don't worry because you're still going to be able to see them. I'm going to come down between these two. I might add a little more yellow ochre, brightening it up. So you're going to want your lightest area to be here in this distant kind of tunneling of the trees, and then those are going to be reflecting around as you go. I'm going to wipe this out. And I think I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my phthalo blue. And I'm going to extend some implied little branches here. See? Yeah. Some little bisecting. And this will be fun, kind of pulling these around. These are little areas that we're going to be kind of coloring around, and it's going to give the impression of faraway branches. I'll rinse out. All right, so you see that right there? Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab a little bit of my cad red and my cad yellow. Sometimes I might put a little brown in it. Kind of knock it back a bit. Still red. Still that bright sunset color. And I'm going to piece around some of these little lines that I put down. And again, if you color over your trees a little bit too far, don't worry, because we have to paint them back in more multicolor. So you're going to be okay. A little more red and yellow. I'm going right here. Let's get some green going. Scrub that in. Let's call that a step, I think, just so that you can kind of practice this technique and we're not so far into it and we're not going so fast. The next one we'll do a bigger segment of this, but I just want you to see how that's going in, if that makes sense. I might, because this is a hard to find brush at the moment, I might switch a little bit to the easier to find Simply Simmons Bright, just for you guys that are looking for the brush that you're not struggling as much to see it. Find it in the stores. And come here and add a little bit of white. Oh, strangely, some magenta. Get back into my orange here. See how we're just using these values to sort of mosaic it together? Isn't that fun? Grab a little bit more of my magenta and my cad red. Oh, I like that. Go ahead and get a little more into my yellow here for some brighter oranges. And I'm going to piece that back down into that. When I make these straight and structural lines, guys, what that's going to do is it's going to imply branches. And when I leave little areas unpainted, it implies branches. It's really fun. I'll grab a little bit here. And I'm going to make sure that I sort of imply that there are branches going over. So you skipped a spot and left a little area unpainted. That's just how much fun it is. And go ahead and get a little bit of my magenta on there. And what? A little of my dye ox purple. That's so strange. Let's add a little white to it, and then we'll see this very strange color. Painting between those little spots, leaving those little blue areas untouched. Let's get into our purple. The other reason I like to make sure that we have the books and everything, I'm going to go into my blue here. I haven't even lifted my brush, and you'll see what that does is that creates a graying.
Yeah.
That allows color to transition, but I'm not losing my vibrancy. Coming in here, sort of going between these two.
Nicola just found the new brush there in the UK.
The D brushes are available in the UK. Where did you find it at? Do we see where Nicola found it at?
Do not.
Oh, Crystal Blake, thank you so much. I'm going to guess it's Jackson's just because they carry so much.
Could be.
Like when I had my brushes out, they carried our brushes. They really like, they carry a lot. I'm going to take a little bit of my phthalo blue and phthalo green together, and I'm going to add, to neutralize it a bit, burnt sienna. Unexpected, I know. Going to come in with a little bit of white, and you see that starts to take us into some turquoise. Bringing that down between the trees. I might come down with some brown there too in a minute. I'm just weaving these areas together. This is something different than we've done. And I love it when we do something different than we've done. I grab a little bit of that green and bring it over the brown and add some white. graze it out. Keep kind of smudging brown in there and a little white. Fun to play with. A little more green, a little more white. A little bit pop there, that's fun. Come back and weave that in. This is going to be a fun painting day.
Yeah, I think so. I like the colors on this.
It's just very kaleidoscopy.
It is.
I'm going to get a little yellow in there and add a little white. That's quite a
There we go.
brighter, fun color to pull in.
It's so abstract. Every once in a while, it makes my eyes go, what? And I have to, like...
Stop and think again. What are we doing?
Well, refocus my eyes and my camera.
Refocus my eyes and my camera. Then I can go into my green and brown to darken. If you did my 403 color recipes, you kind of understand the basis of where all this is going. Little blue into it, darkening it up. Look at that going in there. Now, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to get, I think I'll use my 1/4 inch angle brush Catalyst by Princeton just so it gives me nice edges and angles. All right. All right. So the reason I like this is the angle, the edge, and the way it lets me paint the whole tree and then some tree. Now, I'm going to take my brown here over to my orange a little bit. I'm going to come up on my distant trees and paint those in some more. See what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Showing those going up into the canopy. When I come over and I'm wanting to gray, I'll go into my ultramarine blue to gray from the brown. And it will give me a grayer trunk. But I can add white to it so it's not so dark. If I need to darken any of those, I just get my black on my brush. I can kind of edge line them here on the back side. Works really, really well. I rinsed out. I'm going to get a little of my yellow and white, my yellow ochre and white. Kind of come between these trees. See how that's lightening up between them? It's creating a little bit of that light that we're needing. I'm going to get into my orange a bit. I'm making little short marks here. That sort of implies those little leaves going up. Now I'm going to get into my black. Come up to this tree some. I can even do my black and blue a little bit. I'm going to add some of these little distant fine branches. These things are important because often they really help tell the story of the forest. It's easy to rush through our work. And miss them a bit. I'm going to go ahead and get into my purple and white mix that I had over here. And add a little of that color, that surprising color, going up into my magenta, into these trees. If you need to, you can add a little white into it. Going up into my magenta. Look how we're highlighting. The trick to this painting is that you're going to have these little mixes around your palette, and you're going to go back to them, and you're going to add them places. And it's going to surprise you as you're painting them. It's going to create these little surprises. Get my blue and a little bit of my white. And just creating on the edge there, just working on that little tree. Isn't that amazing how that does?
Really is.
I very, very much like it. Come back down with my little purple. So you see, by painting them in ahead of time before I had to get fussy with them, before I was being kind of wild with them.
Right.
I put them in so I don't get lost in it. Easy to get lost. Super easy to get lost. I'm going to add a little bit of blue, phthalo blue to that yellow. Definitely add a little white. Notice that I took a break there and painted down a bit. Gonna get my red and yellow together again. Very bright, very surprising. Tone it with a bit of brown. So I added that there.
Yeah.
Come there and pop a little of that orange yellow there. There we go. Be playful. Go more into my red on the back side. So I'm going to pop little peaks of that darker red into that distant little forest there. Are we just doing it or what?
Looking really good.
I'm going to take a little of my yellow and a little of my white. I'm trying to remember that we want to keep this under 15 steps.
Well, I can always work it out.
Trying to work it out. I'm going to add a little of this there to imply maybe a little bit of
I'm just so surprised.
distant light coming right there.
This painting's going so quickly. It's coming. So I like how the light of it comes together.
I like how the light of it comes together too. I think light is fun. And lightened up between those two trees. All right, let's call that a step and just keep moving back as we paint this really gorgeous forest. Isn't this gorgeous? So be patient with yourself. Be patient with the process. be patient with, seeing everything, take it down. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the layers, putting in those trees, just breathe. Remember, if you paint out a branch that you liked, you can let the painting dry and put that branch back. You're not stuck. Is there any way we can heat my coffee? Yeah. All right, 2 Hoots. Kelsey Peasant. Okay, so here's the thing on the Hoots. When I rate the Hoots, I have been doing my designs digitally and then painting them with you guys. And I'm guessing the Hoots based on what I think it's going to be. I'm getting actually pretty good using the tools, saying, okay, this is a really good acrylic equivalent, and I've got my kind of palette worked out in my digital space. The thing to know is that sometimes you guys go, that was not 2 Hoots, that was 3. And on my website, I let you uprate it. So if I say it's 1 and you guys are like, no, that was 3, you guys can come in and bump the rating. And what that does is give a very accurate bit of feedback to me and also to any artists coming in who are like, how hard is this? Because you'll be like, oh, I know how hard it was. And then you can share that with them. And that is kind of a wild thing, isn't it? I like it very much. I'm going to keep messing around with my angle brush if I can. Are you up for that? Sure. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of my purple and blue here together with my 1/4 inch angle brush, just because it's just fun to play with today. And I'm going to go ahead and divide up some of these spaces between my trees. Putting in these little branches. It's fun stuff. I'm going to come in with my purple. Kind of purple up this tree. Why not, right? Get a little of my magenta and a little bit of white. And add a bit of a magenta highlight to the inside of the trunk. That's what we're doing. Just a little bit to the inside of the trunk. I might pull some of it over here just so that they reflect well on each other. And like that. I may also try to make sure that my trunks, are going deeply down into the snow so that they're fully planted into the snow. Oh, let's add a little branch there that just popped out into my head. All right. So now we're breaking up those spaces into like a stained glass effect. Exactly what you see there, exactly what you've got going on. I'm going to grab a little bit of my orange with the brown, more to the yellow. Maybe add a little bit of white to it. That's sort of fun. Maybe a little more orange. I can kind of carve things in with the edge of my brush, so I'm not stuck anywhere. A little purple, blue, and white. Which really kind of reads as a gray here. A little purple. Grab some magenta, and I'm going to fill in this little square here. I can always come back with a little bit of my black and work out some of these little areas. See how I'm pushing those back in? They felt important to me. I can easily put them back. Okay. You guys loving it? You doing it? You okay? You've got this. You guys have got this. I'm going to take a little of my Quin Magenta and my Cad Red. I love that mix of them together so much. Get a little white into it. Had a little bit of a reflection there, kind of coming down. Piecing back in. See, and it's nice to have the blue because when the blue shows through, that still plays to that winter lighting. If I get a little purple in it and a little white, it's okay. Just right into my red here. Maybe a little more red. Coming up on the inside of that branch. Little yellow. Because sometimes what you want to do is lighten it up, right? Show the light coming through. Kind of right over it. I can even get right in with my little brush, all as it is, worked into my green. Isn't that wild how that goes? Perhaps some green and brown, darkening it up. This is like a puzzle. I'm going to get that gray. Now, maybe some brighter turquoise. Which is my phthalo blue and my phthalo green. Showing right through there. Isn't that just surprising and fun? And I will carry that bright turquoise sort of behind the tree because maybe that light carries through. How are you guys doing?
Good. There's my headset. My headset.
Diana Peak, would it be possible to do the colors in the background before painting the trees? It is possible. Everything in art is possible. That's kind of the challenge there, right? Is in every painting you create a strategy of what do I need to have to make this painting less stressful? Like for many new artists, laying in the trees is the biggest part that makes it look like the forest. So you've got to get those in, and the playful colors are less important to it looking like the forest. So you maybe put those in second. But if you're like, man, I've got the trees nailed, maybe you want to put in a mosaic and then lay the trees in over that. That's an okay strategy too. There's always a lot of strategies. Every strategy in art that you do that you like we just call that a technique. And we can all have techniques. And it's fine to have techniques. Fine, fine, fine. I'm going to get back into maybe my bigger brush here, which was my number 6 Simply Simmons. And I'm going to go and grab a little of my Docs Purple and my Quin Magenta.
They're here to do the lawn.
As they are every, like, all this. We just have some Saturdays that go this way.
That's okay. You guys can hear. They're getting the leaves.
Now, I might grab some ultramarine blue. And you can see deepen up this corner. I'll have lots and lots of little lines and everything that I'm going to put in later, but right now I've got to get this in. Let's go into our burnt sienna and our phthalo green.
All right. I got you muted there for just a second, so because they were making so much noise, I turned you back on, but they're still noisy back here.
Yeah, they're very noisy.
They're very noisy, right outside the window.
All right, I'm adding my phthalo blue over to this purple mixture, which you can see gives me a nice deep shadowing. And then I can go back into the green and a little bit of white. Painting in that highlight there, adding a little bit of white. A little yellow.
It's like a small airplane.
It is.
Flying around our house.
It is. It is like a small airplane flying around our house. Look at us go. Carol R. So is this considered a negative space painting? Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Ooh, that's interesting. That is. You're painting negative space.
I'm taking my black over to my purple, and I'm going to thicken up my little tree here. Maybe add even a little bit of a more deep shadow right here in this corner. So that's a very good question that Carol R asked. Is it considered a negative space painting? Yeah, we're doing actually a lot of negative space work.
It's very loud out there.
Loud right here.
Yeah, I know.
Not enough grass out there to need that much mowing. The lawn died this summer. Okay, we're coming back?
Are we gonna step?
Let's call it a step because that was crazy and I lost my concentration. We'll call it a step.
We're at a new
We're just gonna call it a step.
Did it pop up? I don't see it popping up.
I didn't see it pop up. All right.
There it goes.
Now I'm gonna get a little bit of my purple and black. I'm gonna come here and add a little branch coming off.
They're coming back around.
Some little twigs. Let's add some twigs right here. Adding a little dark value there. And add some little tree branches there.
It's just very loud outside.
This will never end.
It's just, I'm having to manually mute her because every time it drives by, it's so loud.
In cad red, and I'm going to come over here and...
You can say that again. What color you got there?
Quinacridone in cad red.
Okay. It's almost comedic. My mic will mute a little bit more than hers will, so that's why. Okay.
So I added a gap right there to imply a little branch.
That's better.
Oh, that is better. What? My, oh my.
It's like a lawnmower fight outside our window. Two of them got into a territorial dispute. They're like, I'm going to mow here. No, I'm going to mow here.
Everybody's mowing here right now.
No, I'm going to mow this spot over and
Over again.
Over again.
There's no grass here. It's all dead, but let's mow it a lot. I'm going to get a little yellow.
Don't worry, they're going to come back around again. Just make sure they got it.
I feel like they might, though. I feel like coming back is a likely outcome. Adding a little bit of that there. Back into my cad red back here.
You can still hear them a little bit back there. They're roaring around.
It does seem to be, it is definitely, it's a thing, and you can hear the thing. I'm going to go ahead and take this little quinacridone mix over to my purple with some white.
Told you they'd be back.
Back. It is not okay. I'm going to add a little bit there. You can see I'm just using the squareness of the brush to work around these little spots, making sure that I'm giving lots of color and dimension to it. Word. Just go right into my yellow. Doing well. We're getting there. We are piecing through the painting. We've dealt with our obstacles. We've faced them well. Let's get my 1/4 inch angle brush by Princeton Catalyst, and I'm going to come here and add some, I don't know, some personality to this tree a little bit. Back into the ox and blue. Muting that down, as you can see. Dioxazine purple and ultramarine blue. I'm going to go ahead and just go right into that sort of green that I had there. Just add a little highlight to the front of that trunk. What are the highlights? Well, that helps us sort of see that this is, the inside where the light is coming down in the forest lane, right? So when I highlight these, that helps show that being the light in the forest lane. Even if I'm being playful, that's essentially what I'm doing. Back into my ultramarine blue. Dox purple. I still want it to be a dark tree. I'm just now making it very colorful. put the color down though. Sometimes when you're going, a little advice I can give you is if you bring colors and you put them around your surface, you'll find that you have little moments that you're quite proud of. I'm going to take my cad yellow and my cad red. And I'm going to add a little moment here and there on the outer edge. See, I'm adding little bits. This is because when you work digitally and you switch to paint, sometimes what happens is that light through the screen is brighter than paint because paint will kind of dry as it goes. So you've got to also think about that when you're finishing it out in a traditional medium. I'm adding a lot of yellow to my turquoise and a lot of white. That up, doesn't it? With that.
Say that again, you come through the trees with that?
Yeah, I came through the trees with that color so that it was unifying. Gonna add a little bit so it looked like there was some light kind of coming through that part of the forest.
They've come back for that patch of grass.
They just really want that one patch of grass. There must be some living grass right there. This is sort of implying like an area of snow in the background bank, and I don't want to lose it. So I'm going to say we're doing pretty good here. I just added a little bit of that turquoise to the trunk, and I'm going to add a little bit right here because it's good, and we're going to call that a step. Let's do this side. And then we'll do the center. How are you guys doing?
Very good.
I cannot wait. Now, as you're doing this, remember it takes a little longer to follow along with the lesson and finish. Give yourself plenty of time. That's why we timestamp it. And if you would like to share in a very safe space, there's the Art Sherpa group official. Be sure to answer all the 3 questions on Facebook, and you can share your paintings from my lessons in there to a very nice group of people who will be very encouraging. Okay, back to my number 6, Simply Simmons. And I'm going to come back into my red and magenta. Little dots purple. And piece this between these 2 trees right here. And since I did, I might add a little bit there. I'm going to put out a little more of my ultramarine blue because I have gone through it quite aggressively. I usually don't go through my ultramarine blue unless I'm doing winter landscapes this hard. I'm going to add a little ultramarine blue to it, and you can see because I didn't rinse it, it sort of grays out. Let's go into the green and blue. Get the blue here, very turquoise. Come up between these 2. Add a little light right there. I got some of my light turquoise right there. Pulling it through that center. So we're just working those out, right? We're just putting in those colors. I think I may want to throw in some of my branches just so I'm not fighting them. So I'm going to take my Doc's purple and my ultramarine blue. darkening that up. Little purple and blue. You can use black if you're not getting coverage. I just like to use non-blacks because I think it creates a neat sort of effect. And it lets me work it into the trunk of the tree. Then I'm working the ultramarine blue and the purple down into the trunk of the tree. That, brightening that, just taking that out of the black and brown that we have. I'm just using my 1/4" angle brush, and I am adding little branches to the trunks that I'll be painting around. The upward branch. I like that. It's fun. Just working them out.
Yeah.
Get a little bit of my orange going here. Pop some in between. I am enjoying that. Get a little of my quinacridone into it and some white. I'm using my 1/2" angle brush for a second just to paint around things. This gives me like an interesting pink that I'm very much liking. Go back into my red and can paint between these little areas in the branches. My yellow ochre here. Sort of painting that in. You're going to want your painting to, take you somewhere. I'm going to go over to my gray here.
Take you away.
Add a little blue here. Well, you are. You want your painting to sort of take you to an unexpected place. So you want it to be like mine, but not a photocopy of mine necessarily. I'm going to get into my phthalo blue there. A little more into the purple and blue over here. As we come back further into the forest, that's expected. Because things will become cooler further from this light source. So even if you're being playful with color, what you want to think about is where's my light source? And even if you're being abstracted or you're being fanciful, those things still inform maybe where you place color and how you place hue. And you might be thinking, well, things that are near the light source will be warm colors and things that are far away will be cool colors. Just little thoughts to have. Painting a little purple back here. Now I'm going to switch back to my number 6 bright. And I'm going to take a little of my green to my burnt sienna. And down here at the base, I'm going to start putting that in. Maybe get a little phthalo blue into it. This is just that first thought. It's not the only thought, it's just the first thought. And I can add a little bit of white. A little bit of yellow. Coming up, a little bit of blue. Between the trees. Little green, little white. Where I want to put that, maybe like right here. Kind of coming in forward. See, I'm carrying that through. A little more blue. Some phthalo green and ultramarine blue can be fun too. See, I'm using very structural strokes. I'm using the shape of the brush. All right, let's call this a step because that was a lot to take in. McKay, oh my gosh, getting behind. No, you're not. Remember, you can pause me and watch the chat. There is no rule in live online painting at all that you need to paint at my speed. None. You can absolutely stop that and hit that pause button and talk with us and be here and then just go at your own pace. Don't let stress enter your art practice. It's not fun. Have we put up a step?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. We're going to continue doing what we've been doing. More of the same, my friends. I'm going to take a little of my Cad Red and my Quin Magenta. A little bit over to the Docks Purple. It's always a fun little color deviation, I think. Right into the yellow for some muted orange. Hopping across trees. Added a little white to that. I thought that'd be fun. Kind of around that tree with a little bit of that. Fun color. Back into my red. I'm going to pop some down there. You know, thinking about those things. A little yellow around here. And you'll notice that I'll kind of come forward on the trees, won't I? In these little moments. Kind of trying to carry some of those light moments through. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my yellow and red kind of muted orange. I'm going to talk about it right there a little bit. Which is unexpected. Get a little of my purple. Haven't rinsed out the brush and kind of paint up some more color in that tree. As I come back, maybe a little more blue. I'm on the edge of the brush, just defining the trunk. But we're not lost. You could see how you could get very easily lost if you didn't know where your trees were.
Yep.
You could just get overwhelmed. But sometimes a painting or a card or an idea or photograph is about looking at it and making a strategy that lets you simplify it, right? Like not everything in your trip photo needs to be painted. Sometimes you need to take out the mailbox and the trash cans at the end of the lovely drive, you know, because you don't need to have those there. You're not obligated to those objects. And that's one of the things that you kind of, you know, hopefully start to learn as you're going. I'm adding a little white to my purple and I'm going to come on the inside of this one. And a little bit on the inside. See how we added that? A little bit of a lighting inside. It's fun to see those trees sort of take shape. That idea sort of takes shape. Very much enjoying that. Add a little bit more red there. Still just playing. A little more blue. A little bit of deep blue down here at the base. Just kind of with the ultramarine blue. Just still using my 6. Guys, I think we got that step. I think we got the step. What do you think?
I think
Lorraine
so.
Burke says, stunning, eye-catching, beautiful colors. Thank you, Cinnamon. Eye-opening possibilities. XX, I would love to try this painting. XX, I would love for you to try this painting and feel like you succeeded. That would be like my favorite, best possible dream that could happen from it. Actually, this is one of my favorite ones I've done in a long time.
Yeah, I really like it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love painting for photos references, and we'll still do that from time to time. But I think that I like doing this thing where I sort of work these designs out. I hope you're excited about the Grisaille landscape painting. If you want a really realistic landscape painting, that one's coming up, and I think that one's going to be a lot of fun. But this is just playful. Okay, did we step? We're going to start doing some snow. Snow, my friends, snow. So snow will be every color but white. It just will. In the center, on the back, I'm going to come into this sort of turquoise green that I had from earlier, which is my phthalo blue and phthalo green, and a little bit of burnt sienna and a little bit of cad yellow. I'm still using my number 6. I'm going to add that sort of like color there. Maybe with a little bit of blue. I'm going to start popping some snow. Leaving my shadows because I know that's where my rocks are going to be, right? Get into this gray right here. It's got the brown in it. Use the corner of my brush to pile some snow up around the trees. A little brown and a little blue, ultramarine blue, goes a long way. If you lose any of your shadows that you pre-put in, don't stress about it because you can put them back. This was just to keep you from getting super lost in what is, complicated. And come back here and pile some snow up loosely around the trees. Look at that snow pile up. Isn't that crazy? I love it. It's snowing in my painting. A little more blue. Notice how not white the snow is. That is like one of the biggest things I think that throws people when painting a landscape like this is the snow. What is the brush for the twigs and branches? So I did use this Catalyst Princeton 1/4" angle brush. These are pretty good angle brushes. You can get some more of these. I used an Isabey right after the show when we timestamp it. We also give an exact list of the brushes that we use. And in the written out mini book, each step tells you what brushes were used in that step and how. And that can really make a big difference in how you're feeling about, your painting experience. I like how this first layer of snow is coming in.
Yeah, me too.
No, a little more blue for over here. And again, I'll be putting rocks and things back, but I'm just working this out at the moment. Quite a lot of blue and white. I think I need to deepen those rocks, but that's okay. I'm just getting this first. Might get some purple. Purple and brown snow with a little white. So exciting and unexpected. Back to my blue and white. Just roughly painting in. What? I know. It's looking so good. Okay, we're going to call this a step. We're going to dry it before we go into the next step.
All right.
Guys, you guys are doing good.
So good.
I may take this off of, we got some feedback to take it off the Lazy Susan, and I might because I don't turn the canvas to the side anymore.
That's not as much.
So it may be better overall to put it flat to the table.
Get you a tilty thing.
Get me a tilty thing.
Let me do that. So, yeah. We'll work on those various things. This has been really, really nice doing this today. So nice to see everybody. Thank you guys for coming by. If you're looking for the materials, check in the link in the description below. We put that stuff down there. If there's mini books, those come a little bit after this. You guys can go over to theartsherpa.com. Lots of changes happening there all the time, day to day. We're just making so much changes, lots of cool stuff. What else? See. There you go. There's links on our website, and you guys as well.
For what?
Everything.
Everything.
Amazon.
It's true, everything.
Everything.
I'm going to take a little bit of my Quinn Magenta and Cad Red mix over to my Doc's Purple. Have you stepped me yet?
I did not. I got to go.
Step me.
12.
So Cad Red, Quinn Magenta, and a little bit of the Doc's Purple. Some white. And come here and kind of like work out some of these little shaded areas. Let's get some blue in there. That could be nice. Oh, that's good. I think here I'm going to go just a little darker. I might go phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, like on that little shadow there. It's interesting to see what it is. Now on top, I might come here, and I haven't rinsed out my brush, and I've come over to my brown, and I'm going to add a bunch of white. Put a little bit there. I think I'm gonna thinking about all the different little places I can kind of put that little shadow in, right? Thinking about it. My burnt sienna and my phthalo blue make a very good snow shadow as well. I'm still using my filbert. I think I'm going to bring in a little bit of a shadow kind of peeking in there and there. A little bit of filbert, phthalo blue, burnt sienna. A little bit here. Just adding some all there. Want some nice shadows. Get into my docks now and that color. So that's kind of a mix of everything. A bit at those steps. Gonna lift up in there some of this shadow. Deepen this lip from the trees. I like that. All right, let's call that step so we don't get too lost in that one.
There you go. Got a step.
I think I'm going to get back into my D brush. I just want a smaller brush here. This is the number 4 D brush. You could, again, use your number 6.
Thank you, Celtic Peasant.
Huh?
Oh, thank you for the super chats.
Oh, thank you for super chats. I'm going to take my phthalo green and my cad yellow and a lot of white. Kind of talk about a little highlight there. Coming down there. See how that's creating lightness in the snow? Go into my ultramarine blue down here. I'm going to lighten it up over on the side a little bit as well, but with not the bright warm green. You could also use a round here, would work really well. And go into my kind of turquoise color. Light, light, light. Lighter than that. So see that lightness is coming down the path. Put some of that lightness there. I think I'm going to add some of it here. And a little bit here even. Just to imply the way it might be finding its way down the steps. Back over to my ultramarine blue. So it's lighter, but it's ultramarine blue, so it's not so bright. Over here a little bit on the right. And see, we're just building up the snowbank. What a lovely little snowbank. Come over here and brighten some of that up. Cut into that little turquoise a bit. See, we're brightening it some up. Then we go into the blue.
Yeah.
But we brighten that up a little bit, up the trees. A little bit bluer on that side. And if I want to get a lot more white on here, I can, and I can add a little bit of that there. I'm loving this path.
Really, it does look awesome.
Okay, let's call this a step, and then we're going to put in these weird colors at the very, very end. There's some weird colors at the very, very end. All right. I can keep using this brush. You can switch to whatever's comfortable. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my yellow ochre and my white. I'm going to add some touched a couple places. Not everywhere. Get a little brown in there. Go right into my cad red and my cad yellow. I haven't rinsed my brush though, so it's bright but not bright. A little bit right there. What? That's so fun. That's so fun. Get my magenta on there because it's more over to the side, so I want it to be red but cooler. See, we play these games. Play the game. Just a little touch. Maybe a little touch there. Okay, just highlight that there. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, I want it to be more like snow, so I... Guys, I feel happy.
That's pretty good.
I feel happy. This is where I'm at. I feel happy. I feel happy. I think I'm going to sign it. I think I'm going to say I like it. It went great from concept to completion. I'm super happy with the result.
Really, really turned out nice.
I am really thrilled with how it turned out. I hope you're thrilled with how yours turns out. More great paintings coming. I've got landscapes for those who just want to do winter landscapes. I've got holidays for those that want to do holiday. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm inclusive for everybody as we go through the winter season. Over Thanksgiving, I think, is when the realistic landscape will drop. Now, Monday night, I'm going to be over on my mom's channel, Ginger Cook Live, and we're going to answer questions. If you have a question for me or my mom, you want to send it to their website, Ginger Cook Live, or under their videos, or somewhere they can find it. Because we don't really have a way to get it to them. But that's where you want to send those in, and we're going to answer questions and hang out together and just talk about being artists. I think that's our general plan, is just to have a good time there. Yeah. So if you'd like to join us for that, that's where we're going to be. I am going to be live again, another great lesson on Tuesday. Tuesday is my abominable cuttable snowman. He is so cute. He's the must cute for all the cutes that you could cutie cute. I love him. He's like even cuter than my one-eyed monster from the 13. He's so cute. So you want to do that. And then I've got a couple trees coming up and a nice red cardinal. It's just a red cardinal. And then I've got a really cute Christmas kitten, and then a really great ornament. And in the middle of all of that is that gorgeous landscape over the holidays. That's what you got to do. That's why you got to hit subscribe. That's why you want to hit all the notifications, because that is all coming to you free. And you can find that information on my website, theartsherpa.com, under the calendar. See what's coming up and how easily set a reminder for your favorites. And you can see information from our newsletter.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun today. Thank you for coming. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I want to see you and an easel really soon. Bye-bye.